On this video I'm going to show you how I pieced together this bison with the Milky Way and the starry background out of two different photographs, and I'm doing it on Photoshop because I know lots of you want to see this type of thing. You want to see how we come around and put these ideas together and then change the colours and the contrasts and all of that. So this is the finished picture. So this is where I brought the bison in from a separate reference photo. So that's the finished article. So if I now show you, this is a photograph of the Milky Way and the stars that I found on a free photo reference site. And then on that same site, this is a photograph of a bison. And as soon as I saw it, I thought that would be good to actually piece these two together. And if I could make the bison, the colours match in with the background, it could make for a really effective looking image ready for my painting. Now, you know, a few years ago we used to do things like this with thumbnail drawings and thumbnail paintings, and I also used to print out things and actually cut them out with paper, with scissors, and put the paper together. But this day and age, with things like Photoshop and image editors, it can be done on screen and much more accurately. So you've then got a plan to follow with your painting, whether that be oil paintings or pastels or whatever. It just makes visualizing it that much easier, and it's much quicker to do. So first thing I want to do is actually adjust the image sizes. So I'm just going image size, 72 dots per inch, and I'm looking at about 1400 pixels. And that shrinks down then if I go view 100%, just so it fills the screen so it's easy for you to actually see. And I'm going to do exactly the same with this starry background as well, 1400, and then they're both the same size, fit that on screen as well. So all I want to do now is actually if I start with this, I want to cut the bison out and make it so that I can drop it onto that starry background. So that's the first thing I want to do. So I'm going to turn it from being a background into a layer just by double clicking it, and it's always good practice then to right click, duplicate the layer, and just OK. And now we see we've got two of them. Now that just gives me the option, if things go wrong, I can just delete that duplicate and I've still got the good one underneath. So next I want to actually cut it out. So what I'm going to do, I'm coming over here onto the palette, and I'm going to select this lasso tool, and it's got a little magnet on there. So it's the magnetic lasso tool. Okay, now what that means is that it will actually kind of magically attach itself to the outer edge of the bison as I'm drawing. So if I show you, it starts where the little pointer is, and I'll just click. And then when I drag it, it'll look for areas of high and low contrast, and you can see it's kind of like magnetically picking those out. Now I'm not worried about all the little tiny haze. I'm not interested in that. I'm just looking to get the general shape. And every now and again I can click it, and I'll drop down a little point on there, and that'll help it sometimes find the edge, because where I am now there's not much contrast behind. You've got another bison behind, so it can get a bit confused. And if it does and it's going off on the wrong part, like say it's going up here or down there on its own, you can just put all these little click points in yourself. Now an area like this, it should be able to travel around no problem. But see, it went off a bit there, so I've gone back, click, click, and down here, clicking again. I'm using a mouse, and it's not the easiest thing to do with a mouse. It's better with one of those little tablets. So I'm just clicking around. You can see I'm not worried about getting everything perfect, because I'm only doing this because I want it as a reference photograph. I'm not doing it to actually be a finished piece of artwork in itself, a Photoshop piece of artwork. Now when I've finished, I can come over to the last dot, and you'll see it, perhaps you can see it, a little round circle comes up just under the magnet, and that means it's going to join all that loop together. So when I click it now, it goes to the marching ants, and it's all joined together, and it's really roughly done. But when I come over here now at the bottom of the palette, I can click this edit in quick mask tool, and when I do that, all the background goes red and all the foreground stays the proper color, and that's showing me what's going to be cut out. Now the cool thing about this is I'm going from white to black. If you look down here on the palette again, when I select a brush, and that's about the right size, if the brush is black, it produces black red on this. So you can see I'm drawing red, and if I take this and make it go white, I can clear that red out. So I can, what I'm doing now is just adjusting just slightly the bits that were a bit raggedy or weren't selected. So I'm just selecting that down the bottom, and then I can add a bit more there, and then if I switch to black, I can add to the mask. Okay, just like that, just add into the mask. So a bit on the beard, I'm not worried about the straggly ears. Now, say I went wrong and did that, all I've got to do is change over to the white brush and come back in and paint it back on. Simple as that. So that's quick and easy, and as I said, I'm not worried about doing it perfect at all, because when I do the reference, I'm going to have this one on my screen by the side of me, but I'm also going to print out the reference of the bison itself, so I can judge all these little hairs and where they are and do a really detailed painting from it and not make any mistakes as far as where the hairs should be fluffy or where they should perhaps be more solid. So I'll just change that back to white because I wanted a bit more of that there. Okay, and that's done. So if I now go back over to the quick mask area by here and click it again, you'll see the marching ants again. Now if I reselect the magnetic tool here, I can go over to the bison and right click and select layer via copy. Now instantly up here I've got a layer 1 have come up, and if I take the eye off the others, you can see what's happened. That's my copied layer. So I'll just put it back on for now, and if I drag this window off and pick up the pointer tool off here, I can drag this bison, the copy, and just drop it onto the starry sky. I'll double click the background here on the starry sky just to make that a layer as well, because we're dealing in layers. And now I can easily move the background around if I wanted to, or I can select the bison, select background again, just get it straight, select the bison, and I can move that around where I want to as well. So I'm going to get it in the corner, put it down a bit, and now the bison to me looked too large, so I wanted to shrink it down. So I just go image, adjust, oh in fact it's edit, transform, scale, and then these little boxes to come around it, and I can grab it in the corner, hold down the shift key, and then I can make it as large or as small as I wanted. So I could have had it really big. So that would be up to you how you wanted it, and I wanted it something like that. I think it was. It's not important how I add it, it's just showing you the technique so you can do it yourself. Okay, now by just applying that, it's actually on there, so I can still move it, but anything I do now to adjust will actually just adjust the bison. So that's how you get things in layers actually sitting on top of each other. So what I wanted to do now was to actually adjust the color, because obviously the bison is lit up with sunshine, whereas the background is nighttime. So what I had to do then was go into image, adjust, and I think it was color balance, because I just did this off the top of my head, so I'm trying to go back and rethink what I actually did. And then I knew I wanted to make it blue, or much bluer obviously, and get rid of these browns. So what I wanted to do, you've got shadows, midtones and highlights, and in shadows I wanted it to go blue, and this is more of a like a cerulean blue. So rather than the blue here, the vibrant ultramarine type blue, this cyan blue, this is what I wanted. So I drag that down, I think to about -40-ish. You can see there when I take preview on and off. So that's the shadows gone down. The midtones then, I think I took it down to about 60 something like that, around about the 60. And I also wanted to put this blue up as well, and I put that up I think to around about the 50 mark, something like that. And then the highlights as well, obviously I wanted to do that. And when I was just playing with these, you know, I was doing different things, and I went down to about, I think it was minus 50, minus 54 something. And then I think I put the blue up just a little bit again as well. I think I went up to about the 30 mark, and I was starting to get happier with that. So it was starting to match in more. But obviously what I needed to do then was okay that, and then I wanted to alter the brightness and the contrast because it was way too bright. So it was image, adjust, brightness and contrast, and I think I put the brightness down to around about a little bit further than that, I think around about the 40 mark, and the contrast I think I brought up to around about, even there, perhaps 50. And you can see now it's really starting to get much more like it was on the reference that I showed you in the beginning. Now you can play around with these things forever. So you can go into your levels, and you've got an option then to go red, green or blue. So I could have gone into blue, and I could take some of that blue out, you know, and take it to the other end or increase it more. And I think I took it around about by there perhaps. I'm not sure if I even altered anything with the reds, perhaps just up a little bit. So you see it's just tweaking. And the greens, possibly I did a bit on there as well. Like I say, it's just tweaking around and playing with it and seeing what you actually like yourself. And if you go RGB, that's altering red, greens and blues. So you can start to go lighter or darker on that. So you can see I took a bit of the blue out of it. So that was roughly all I did. So you can see the difference that makes. And all I wanted to do then, so say for instance now you want to just clean up the edge, you can come over here, you can select the eraser tool and just perhaps take a bit of that light edge out, perhaps a bit by there, and you can adjust things very easily like that. So that's a simple explanation on how I pieced these together with just 2 layers, how I altered the colors as well and set it out, and I hope you found that of some interest.